In a move that's already sending shockwaves through the fandom, Sony Pictures has officially confirmed plans to reboot its extended Spider-Man universe. After years of building a villain-centric franchise packed with anti-heroes, spin-offs, and ambitious crossovers, the studio is now preparing for a major creative overhaul. For fans who followed every twist, from symbiote sagas to morally conflicted masterminds, this marks the end of one chapter and the beginning of another. But what went wrong? And what exactly will this reboot look like? Let's break down the past, present, and future of Sony's web-slinging empire. The rise of Sony's Spider-Man universe. Sony's relationship with Spider-Man has always been unique. The studio holds the film rights to the character and many of his associated heroes and villains, a deal that dates back decades. While Spider-Man himself has appeared in Marvel Studios films thanks to a landmark partnership with Marvel Studios, Sony independently launched its own shared universe centered around characters from the Spider-Man mythos. That universe officially began in 2018 with Venom, starring Tom Hardy as Eddie Brock. The film was critically divisive but commercially explosive, grossing over $850 million worldwide. Against expectations, Sony had a hit. Suddenly, the studio had a formula: focus on popular villains and anti-heroes, give them gritty standalone films, and build a connected universe without Spider-Man himself taking center stage. It was an unusual strategy, a Spider-Man universe without Spider-Man. Building a villain verse. Following Venom's success, Sony doubled down. In 2022, Morbius debuted, starring Jared Leto as the living vampire Drive. Michael Morbius. The film struggled critically and commercially, becoming an internet meme more than a box office powerhouse. Then came Kraven the Hunter, led by Aaron Taylor Johnson, which aimed to give one of Spider-Man's most iconic foes a grounded origin story. Meanwhile, Madam Web, starring Dakota Johnson, attempted to expand the universe into psychic territory and multiversal prophecy. On paper, the plan was ambitious: create a tapestry of interconnected characters that would eventually collide. In reality, the results were mixed at best. The missing piece: Spider-Man himself. One of the core criticisms of Sony's universe was its lack of Spider-Man at the center. While Peter Parker existed in the larger cinematic multiverse, portrayed by Tom Holland within the Marvel Cinematic Universe, he remained largely absent from Sony's standalone villain films. The multiversal tease at the end of Venom, Let There Be Carnage, briefly linked Hardy's Venom to Holland's Spider-Man. However, the events of Spider-Man: No Way Home ultimately returned Venom to his own universe, leaving fans unsure of the long-term plan. The lack of a central hero left the franchise feeling structurally incomplete. Villains traditionally defined by their opposition to Spider-Man were forced to operate without their narrative anchor. Without the web slinger, the web felt untethered. Why Sony is rebooting now? According to studio leadership, the reboot is about creative clarity and long-term storytelling vision. Industry insiders point to several key factors. 1. Inconsistent critical reception. While Venom was a financial success, subsequent entries failed to generate the same enthusiasm. Critics often cited uneven tone, underdeveloped scripts, and unclear franchise direction. 2. Audience confusion. Casual moviegoers struggled to understand how Sony's universe connected, or didn't connect, to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. 3. Franchise fatigue. Superhero films are no longer guaranteed box office gold. Audiences have become more selective, demanding stronger storytelling and meaningful stakes. 4. Strategic alignment. With evolving partnerships between Sony and Marvel Studios, there may be renewed interest in aligning creative directions more cohesively. In short, the studio believes a clean slate offers more potential than patchwork fixes. What a reboot could mean. A reboot doesn't necessarily mean erasing everything. It could involve recasting certain characters, retooling origin stories, recentering the narrative around Spider-Man, introducing new creative leadership, integrating more closely with broader Marvel storytelling. One possibility is building a more grounded, character-driven saga that emphasizes emotional stakes over spectacle. Another is leaning fully into multiverse storytelling, capitalizing on the success of cross-dimensional narratives. Sony's rights portfolio includes fan-favorite characters like Black Cat, Silver Sable, and dozens more. A reboot could finally give these characters coherent arcs within a unified framework. The Venom question. The biggest uncertainty surrounds Venom. Tom Hardy's portrayal remains popular among fans, and the character has proven commercially viable. Will Sony retain Hardy and fold him into a rebooted universe? Or start fresh? Reboots often preserve what works while discarding what doesn't. If Venom survives the reset, He may serve as the bridge between eras. Lessons from the past. Sony has rebooted Spider-Man before. After the original trilogy directed by Sam Raimi concluded with Spider-Man 3, the studio launched The Amazing Spider-Man, starring Andrew Garfield. That series was eventually discontinued, leading to the partnership with Marvel Studios that introduced Tom Holland's version. Each reboot reflected shifting audience tastes and industry realities. Now, history repeats itself. The bigger industry context. Hollywood is recalibrating. Superhero dominance is no longer unquestioned. Studios are reassessing budgets, release strategies, and franchise longevity. Sony's reboot announcement fits into a broader pattern: quality over quantity. Rather than flooding theaters with loosely connected spin-offs, the studio appears ready to streamline and refocus. Fan reactions. Hope and skepticism. Online reaction has been swift. Some fans welcome the reset, arguing that the previous approach lacked cohesion. Others worry about abandoning characters and actors they've grown attached to. There's also curiosity. Will Spider-Man finally become the emotional core of Sony's universe again? The appetite for a compelling, unified Spider-Man saga remains enormous. The character is one of the most beloved in pop culture history. The challenge lies in execution. What comes next? While specific project details remain under wraps, insiders suggest the reboot will feature a clearer tonal identity, strengthen character arcs, avoid overcomplicating continuity, focus on long-term narrative planning. The success of the next phase will depend heavily on creative leadership. A strong director-driven vision could redefine the franchise. A web rewoven. Reboots carry risk. They can alienate audiences if mishandled. But they also offer opportunity, a chance to learn from missteps and rebuild stronger foundations. Sony's Spider-Man universe has never lacked ambition. What it sometimes lacked was cohesion. Now, with a reset on the horizon, the studio has an opportunity to craft a more unified, emotionally resonant saga, one that honors Spider-Man's legacy while charting new territory. The web isn't being cut. And if Sony gets it right, this reboot could finally deliver the interconnected, character-driven Spider-Man universe fans have been waiting for. The next swing could change everything.